1. I'm a manager in a fairly large and well-known craft store in the US and Canada. I've been working there for 4 years now, and I've had my share of headache-inducing customers. A few days ago, I had one woman that takes the cake. On Tuesday, I was working on truck, putting new freight on the shelves, when a woman approached me. She comes in frequently, and she's never the easiest to handle. Let's call her Karen. She approaches me. I have a question. I put on my best customer service voice and smile. Yes, ma'am. What can I assist you with? She proceeds to shove her phone in my face. The app says I will get my voucher within 72 hours of earning it. It's been 2 days. I want my voucher. Ma'am, 72 hours is 3 days. It's only been 48. Well, I purchased $30 worth of stuff on Saturday. Where is it? Yes, I know that it should be 3 days, but she originally said 2. Ma'am, I apologize, but I can't do anything in store. You'll need to call the customer service line and they can help you. But it takes 72 hours for vouchers to update in the system, and up to 10 days for them to come through your email or app. It doesn't say that. You've asked us about it before, and we've explained it before. She mumbles something about me being a bitch and walks off. 20 minutes later, I'm in the kids section putting up glitter. She sees the glitter glue pens. How much are these? $4.99. She grabs 2 packs and thanks me. 10 minutes later, cashier comes on the radio. Can someone do a price check? Customer says these glitter pens are $1, but they're ringing up for $4.99. I sigh and reply, I helped her, they're $4.99, she's aware of this. She's heading back there. Great. Karen points to the $1 tag for the items below the pens. It says here they're $1. Ma'am, they're $4.99. I told you that when you asked a few minutes ago. This says $1. I grab the hooks with the $1 labels clearly attached. These are $1. Those are $4.99. The $1 is sold out. I apologize. Then those should be $1. No, those hooks clearly say they're $4.99. She then points lower on the shelf. What about these? It says $2, but nothing is there. Yes, ma'am, that item is sold out. She points at the $2 and moves up to the glitter glue 2 shelves up. Then these should be $2. No, those are $3. That doesn't make sense. It should go up to the next item up. No, it's only for that item, not the ones above it. I've never heard of that before. She storms off. Not even 5 minutes later. Opie, can you come up to the front? She wants a manager. I walk up front, mentally preparing for the crap show I'm about to walk into. She's glaring daggers at me. I have some complaints about how you run this store. First of all, the signs are not clear. Ma'am, we have the same system as almost everyone else. Prices are on the peg for that item, not above it. A regular customer like me doesn't know that. I'm internally screaming and thinking, everyone knows that. Even kids know how it works. Secondly, the sales sign over there says 40% off. They're 50%. Yes. She complained about the items being on a better sale than stated. I'm sorry, ma'am. Corporate will sometimes have a higher sale for items for a couple days, and we won't receive signs or be notified until we see it at the register. This is ridiculous. I'm going to shop at your competitor. Sorry to hear that. Have a good day, ma'am. She came back in yesterday. 2. For background. I was a 19-year-old college student at a university under the hospitality course, majoring in culinary entrepreneurship. And every week, we have to buy ingredients for our cooking and baking subject. Our category was petit four cakes. In our groups, each member was assigned to buy certain ingredients based on availability as we go to university or back home. Our uniform, quite important, consists of a light green short-sleeved polo, green and blue striped necktie, dark blue vest with our university course logo embroidered on the left chest side, dark blue pants, black shoes, and an all-yellow ID lace and card. While an employee uniform is wearing a short-sleeved white polo shirt with company logo, black pants, and black leather shoes. They also have dark blue ID lace and white ID. On to the story. The classes ended, and I decided to buy the ingredients in a supermarket near the train station. I arrived at that station, went straight to the mall and into the supermarket area. In the supermarket, I removed my necktie and vest, and put it in my bag and placed it in claim and deposit because big bags are not allowed as you might sneak out a few items. The only ingredients that were assigned to me were heavy cream and powdered sugar, so I went to the dairy and creamery section first. As I picked up the cream and placed it in a basket, an old lady came to me, and this is how the conversation goes.
"Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am?
Can you help me find butter? The one I bought yesterday was margarine. It gives a weird texture to my cookies."
Sure, ma'am. As the creamery and dairy section were close to each other, I went as well as suggesting items for her. If you want the cheapest one, this brand is good unsalted and salted butter for you. But if you want quality, I recommend this one. I use this when I bake some myself.
"Thank you, young man. May I ask for your assistance in finding more baking items I need? I might need your suggestions on this one."
Me, being a good boy, helped her, as I also got my second and last item.
"Thank you so much, young man. I can take care of the rest now."
You're welcome, ma'am. Because of helping her, I decided to buy a soda and snacks for my trip back home before going to the checkout. As I finished shopping, I saw the same lady with the manager talking about the nice young man who helped her, and demand to give that person a raise. When she saw me as I claimed my bag, she approaches me and points in my direction and says this to the manager.
"That's him. That's the young man I was talking about. I would like to ask you to give him a raise for helping me."
I appreciate your good feedback, but I'm sorry he doesn't work here."
"Wait, you don't work here?"
"Sorry, ma'am, but I'm only a student. Here is my ID. I think you've mistaken me for an employee due to almost similar uniform."
"Oh, how embarrassing for me to ask a complete stranger and waste a manager's time."
"It's fine, ma'am. If he was to actually work here, I would consider your comment to him." "It's fine for me too, ma'am. I'm not too busy anyway, and I'm just helping when I can, even if I don't work here."
"I'm sorry again. Thank you very much for helping me."
"You're welcome again, and I'm happy to help." And then we went on our way. From that day on, I went my way home and eating snacks feeling more delightful because I helped a person when I could. 3. This happened several years ago. Back then, I lived in a small town, about 3,000 people, and I worked for the Blue Wall of Marts in the US in the photo and electronics area. The way our store was set up put the department square in the middle of 2 sets of double doors leading into the back room. One of them led into general storage area. The other back to where our maintenance crew would keep supplies and machines like the floor buffer. Being so close to their area, we would often be asked to poke our heads back there and look for maintenance members on occasion, especially one really awesome guy we'll call Kyle. Kyle was one of the most dedicated workers we had there, always willing to pitch in when needed, responded to issues when told about them, and generally kept the store looking damn near immaculate. However, if you needed Kyle for anything, you needed to find him in person. See, Kyle is completely deaf, so paging over the intercom wasn't an option, and management wouldn't let anyone have a cell phone on the floor, so we would often be asked to go check and see if he was back in the maintenance area. Or if not, to check the cleaning schedule he kept back there to let us know where he was most likely to be at the time. Eventually, our Blue Box store got a new competitor in town, the Red Bullseye store. With the new opening, I decided to throw my resume over there to see if I could land some kind of supervisor or management position there. The Wall store had many lifers in these positions, and I couldn't move to a new store at the time, and lo and behold, I was hired as an assistant manager. It was great. I loved the new challenges at my job, and in a small town like that, having 2 places to shop was more of a windfall than you might think. If one store had sold out of a particular item, there was a good chance the other might have it or something similar. This was back when Amazon had just started picking up steam, but wasn't the juggernaut it is now. Eventually, this happened to me. And after my shift, I went back to Blue Box to grab something, don't remember what now, and I ran into Kyle. Having not seen him in several months, I stopped to see how he was. We spent maybe 5 to 10 minutes catching up, jotting down quick notes to each other in his notepad, since I didn't speak ASL, before I needed to move on to finish my shopping. As I was shopping in the next aisle over, I began to hear a voice from the other side of the shelves, the voice of a Karen. And it was getting louder and more entitled. And I knew the only person she could be yelling at was Kyle. I quickly walked back to the other side to see Kyle looking at this banshee starting to shriek at him. Then see me and try to wave me over. This is as best as I can remember the next conversation going.
Don't you ignore me, I told you. You need to go look in the back to see if you have any more.
Ma'am, I say as I'm walking up behind her, you don't need to shout like that if...
Fuck off, this doesn't concern you.
Ma'am, I'm just trying to help.
I don't need your help. I need this little shit to stop acting dumb and do his fucking job.
Listen, Kyle isn't dumb, he's deaf. He literally can't hear your request.
Deaf? Jesus Christ.
Then she says something very rude, questioning why they hire people like Kyle here.
It's the dumbest fucking thing ever. Never mind, I'm not shopping at a place that keeps... And then she said it again. I'll find it at another store.
No, lady, you won't. You won't find it there because you won't be shopping there. And you certainly won't be allowed back here either, I'm sure.
That's what you think. You don't even work here.
You're right, I don't, but I did work here, and still know the management team. Between Kyle's statement and me as a witness, this level of abuse is probably more than enough to get you banned. I know because it'd be enough to get you banned from my store, and I plan on reporting this to my store manager. If this is how you treat employees, we don't want you in there.
We'll just see about that.
And she storms off in a rage. I checked to make sure Kyle was okay. He was. And we both walked back to the management office where we gave our statements to the store manager. This Karen had caused problems in the store before, and the store manager agreed she wouldn't be allowed back in. After that, I called my boss to let her know what happened, provided a description of the lady, and my manager understood, and said she'd keep an eye out for her. On my next shift, I found out the lady did come to our store, and when she was asked to leave, she threw such a tantrum, our loss prevention guy threatened to call the police to have her trespassed off store property if she didn't leave immediately. When she started complaining about where she was expected to shop now, loss prevention told her that wasn't his concern. But if she wanted to get any shopping done at our company, she'd best start driving. The nearest sister store to us was the next town over, nearly 25 miles away, and closed in just over half an hour. 4. 7 years ago, in college, me and my wife used to work for Chipotle. In fact, it was where we met. As we worked there, we amassed quite the selection of Chipotle t-shirts. And for those of you who don't know, the design is a small Chipotle logo on front, and a large design on the back. Back in the early 2010s, the designs were actually quite imaginative, and had some pretty funky art on the back, which actually might be something you might want to be seen wearing. My wife's friend, a woman who through remarkable patience and tenacity actually became successful in the company, who still works there, hooks her up with the newer shirts, and yeah, they're not as good as before, with boring designs talking about special offers and real ingredients. Eventually, working there became too much for me, and I fell out with the management and quit. I was so mad at them I was going to burn my shirts as an act of catharsis. But my wife persuaded me to let her have them for work, even though they were way too big for her, and so she amassed quite the collection. I'd estimate it at about 20. She persevered for a while after I left, getting promoted to kitchen manager. And then, after we left, the huge collection of work shirts became her loungewear and pajamas. It's like when I got hired, I could never really leave because half the time I see a Chipotle girl wandering around the house. Harmless enough, but once or twice she's actually gone into a Chipotle wearing one of these shirts, and occasionally weird stuff happens. So the first one was about 2 or 3 years ago. We'd been out the previous night, it was a Saturday, and we'd both gotten pretty drunk. When we'd gotten home, I'd helped her into bed and she'd just thrown on a t-shirt and fallen asleep, and then me not long after. I woke up the next morning feeling a lot better, had breakfast, but she was still pretty hungover from the previous night, so I just sat and played games for a few hours until about noon. I went in and asked if she wanted food, and she did, but she wanted to go to Chipotle as she felt burgers would be gross in her hangover state. She'd been sleeping on her back, however, so I hadn't noticed that she was wearing one of her favorite shirts, a huge, oversized for her, one she'd gotten from me that featured a lettuce shouting "Lechuga" on the back, and an avocado which replies "Gesundheit." As I said, the old designs were actually quite cool and weird. She slipped on an old pair of my Lakers baseball shorts, a hoodie, and covered up her t-shirt, hence me not seeing it, and some sunglasses to hide her hangover, and then we left for Chipotle. She brightened up on the way considerably as well, so everything seemed fine. We got our food and started eating, and then as it was hot, she took off her hoodie, and then said she'd be off to the restroom. I didn't think much of this, and again I didn't notice the back of her shirt. So for a while I carried on eating and finished. And then I noticed my girlfriend hadn't come back from the restroom, so I sent her a text asking if she was all right. She sent one back saying, "Long story." And then a few minutes later came back laughing. What had happened is she'd gone to the restroom, and when she came out, run into a woman who asked her,
"What do you think you're doing coming in dressed like this?"
It turned out this was the store manager. She thought my girlfriend was a new hire, and she proceeded to tell her off for coming in dressed in such a sloppy manner. An oversized uniform shirt and baggy baseball shorts give a poor impression of the company, and that she'd have to go back home and change, and that she was going to be written up. My girlfriend started to get angry in response, then she looked down, and at the reflection of the back of her shirt in the glass behind her, and realized the t-shirt she'd thrown on last night was in fact a Chipotle uniform, so an easy mistake to make. She explained she was actually a customer and that this was her boyfriend's old work shirt, and started to apologize for coming in dressed this way and confusing the manager, at which point the manager apologized for telling my girlfriend off, and the two women spent about a minute in a loop of apologizing to each other. Finally, the manager offered my girlfriend a buy one get one free card for the mistake, and so in the end there were no hard feelings. We got some free food from this one, and it was hilarious as well. That was one of our experiences. The other was actually a few weeks ago, and since the last time we got married, so she's now my wife. Now that lockdown is lifting and we can go out a little while ago, we went to Chipotle on a Sunday evening. And yeah, my wife was rocking a Chipotle shirt again. We figured that as it was quite late in the evening, there wouldn't be many people there. It would be pretty chill and we couldn't be bothered smartening up, so we just went as we were. Also, the store we frequent seems to always hire super nice staff as well, so it's always been good. We go in, and yeah, there's only one or two people there, so it should be fine, right? We order, and the guy who made our food for us gave her a double take but didn't really say anything. The girl on cashier, however, smiles and says, "I like your shirt." And my wife says, "Oh, I don't work here now. This is life after Chipotle." And they have a nice conversation about college and how things are nowadays and the pandemic, etc. I think she was about 17 and she enjoyed the conversation so much that she gave us our meal for free. I leave a nice tip for the cashier and the other staff as well because I remember how good that felt at the end of the shift. And so we're heading towards our seat and everything has a general good vibe to it so far. However, then we hear,
"No, you're doing my bowl wrong. I want this salad."
Jab, jab, greasy fingerprints on the sneeze guard.
"You're still doing it wrong. My God, how fucking stupid can you be?"
And so on. And looking over my shoulder, I saw a woman who was one of those customers, who is the nightmare of all Chipotle workers, the self-entitled customer who believes that by yelling and creating a scene, they can get whatever they want. She never stopped yelling while she was in the store. We sit down, and she finally gets her bowl made exactly how she wanted it, but it wasn't good enough, and when she gets to our previously happy cashier, she proceeds to chew the poor girl out for it being
super slow and it's overpriced. My God, this place is a disgrace.
And is just making her life a misery. The cashier is trying to placate her as best she can, and an equally stressed manager, I don't think much older, appears and tries to calm down her Karen-ness, but the woman just won't shut up. I just shook my head and started eating, but the manager must have done something to get her to leave them alone, because then Karen went and sat by the door after making a scene of snatching up her food and storming to a table. Karen clearly made quite an impact on the cashier girl as she ran off to the back to cry, leaving her equally miserable-looking manager in her place, and generally everything just feels like trash now. We just finished our food and walked out. But as we go past the Karen on the way to the door, we hear,
"Hey you, yeah you, girl."
And we stop. My wife turns around and says, "Excuse me, ma'am?"
"Yeah, I know you're leaving work with your boyfriend, but as you're a manager, I want to make a formal complaint."
My wife turns back to me, grins and mouths, "What the fuck?" Because although she is wearing a Chipotle shirt, she's also wearing neon green running shorts, flip-flops, and a backwards green and yellow baseball cap, none of which are part of the approved uniform. This isn't how Chipotle managers dress, although I guess Karen figured she was slightly older than the rest of them, she's 28, and thus was a senior manager. My wife finished her time at Chipotle as a kitchen manager, and I guess the fact that this customer made our new favorite cashier cry meant that she wanted a little payback for all the time she'd been in the same situation. She does a very, very good customer service persona, all bubbly and sweetness, and she slipped right back into it, and then walked over to her and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, how can I help you?" Karen then goes off into a rant about how the store is badly run. She was kept waiting, which clearly trying to fuck around and go on a little power trip, and how the employees are all stupid and no wonder they're all on minimum wage and blah blah, generally being an asshole. My wife just listens intently and says with a smile, "Well, ma'am, those are some interesting observations, but I think you can just go fuck yourself." Karen is stunned for a second, as well as the staff behind the counter who seem to be enjoying watching someone stand up to this woman, and then says,
"I'm writing to head office and you're out of a job, missy. Give me your name."
At which point my wife says, "I'm first name, the answer is really 42. Karen writes down her name and then says,
"You'll be hearing from head office after they hear from me."
At which point my wife says, "And I haven't been a manager at Chipotle for quite a long time, so I can pretty much say whatever the fuck I want to you." Karen just stares at her and says,
"But you're wearing their shirt."
"Yeah, I'm wearing it because it's a cool shirt and I used to work here. It doesn't mean I work here now. So I can tell that you're being a massive bitch who likes taking her anger out on kids much younger than her. And that I think everyone would prefer it if you just fuck off and stop throwing your weight around because Chipotle can't fire me." Karen is stunned, processing a girl in a Chipotle shirt, telling her off instead of placating her. And she just pushes past us and says,
"This is a fucking disgrace, never coming here again,"
and slams the door behind her, and then drives off quickly. I'm just processing what happened, as it was weird, and my wife goes back over to the two girls behind the counter to apologize for saying that to a customer, as I guess, as in Karen's eyes, she was a representative of the company. But the girls were cool with it and quite happy that she did stand up to the Karen. And also, it was just a customer versus customer interaction, despite appearances. So moral of the story, if you ever work a fast food job and want to go back there, check you're not wearing your old uniform before you go in. 5. A couple of days ago, my wife wanted to send me to the corner store to get cheesy fries, mozzarella sticks, and a cheeseburger for myself. We called to see if they were out of cheese or not, but no one answered, so wifey just told me to go. When I go there, I put my face mask on and made my way to the touchscreen order menu. Clerk tells me,
"Hey, please don't order anything complicated because I'm the only one here."
"Oh, is that why the phone wasn't answered?" And I told her my order, "That okay?"
"Yeah, I've been slammed. And I'm only supposed to make subs and pierogies, but I'll make an exemption."
I filled out my order and made sure I didn't put any extra things that needed to be cooked, so the receipt printed out and I waited for the clerk. A line started to form behind me, and I stepped out of line to let them purchase their things and pay for their gas. Many things could have gone wrong here, but they didn't. I could just watch as this amazing woman juggled cooking my food, ringing out the customers, and fetching cigarettes. Finally, she finished my food and scanned the receipt. When she handed me my change, I slipped her a 5 and said, "I appreciate you and what you do. Keep being strong." And she smiled and thanked me and wished me a great day. So awesome clerk that expertly ran that store solo, you keep being awesome, girl. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 130. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do boop the like button and leave a comment. And if you haven't done so already, then please do subscribe. It is very much appreciated and helps out me and the channel much more than you'll ever know. It's a lot, is the answer. Well, I guess now you do know. It's a lot. Also a bit of business. I have to remember to do this more often. If you have a story you'd like to share with me, please do send it along to kingofthecities@gmail.com. Right, I'm going to keep the rest of this outro kind of short because I'm melting. Your little dog, too. Anyway, yes, because I have another video to record and it's very hot. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.